Yeah, boy. Pixels and Plough here, episode 7, 6. What are we up to? 7.
Episode 7, mate.
That means it's been at least 7 Eric Whittaker references so far.
Oh yeah, Eric Whittaker. What a guy.
Maybe 3 per episode. So we have a special guest again. It worked good when we had our good friend Sam on with us the other day. This time we've got Jerry Zahija from Carmeria joining us. Say hi, mate.
Hi, mate.
Lovely.
I'm just going to have an awkward pause there. So we've got 2 races in the house today, too.
This is gonna be good.
So, yeah, it was good to see you join in with that initial polychord we do, man. All the guests we have, we just smash keyboards together and see what comes out. But I tell you, we're going to be looking at classical, romantic era music, maybe Baroque music, depends what you guys are all into, and how we use some of that influence today with, I guess, our music writing and maybe just what we're listening to take influence. So, you guys want to actually properly say hello now?
Hello.
No.
Everyone.
Very cooperative team here today. This is just dying on air. We start with an example then, guys. Yeah. Anyone want to talk about your experiences listening to classical music or romantic era music? Maybe some of the things, an initial introduction. You done some studying today, Reece, to give us a nice Wikipedia definition of that era of music.
Yeah, Wikipedia has served me well in telling me that, you know, there was apparently people were like, oh, the definition of romantic music it's too broad. But, you know, there were things such as an obsession with like the nighttime in like writing nocturnes and stuff, using new forms, structural forms, stuff like that. And they also liked to use wider ranges of pitch and other instruments. Yeah, that's what I found. Thanks, Wikipedia.
Yeah, so your 3 years at uni served you well as well?
Yeah, I was mostly focused on the jazz, hey.
Oh, that's sweet jazz shit.
Somebody once told me.
Well, yeah, I think what you were saying is pretty true. If you compare it like with the classical era that came before, I guess they were sticking to much more rigid forms back then, and they were trying to aim for very singable melodies for I guess it was the popular music of the time. Whereas when the romantic era came in, they were trying to push things a little bit more experimental, bigger ranges in emotion, and just even trying to be more emotional in general. I think there's a lot of emotionally powerful music from before then, but I guess this was when they were really trying to lay it on thick.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like it's the prog of those classical eras, the stuff that's between like 1600 and 1900 for me. So
yeah,
I guess I feel magnetized more to the romantic stuff than the classical. You about to bump in, Jerry?
Yeah, I was going to say it's funny because I used to use that same comparison. So when I was on my my first prac as part of my Masters of Teaching, I had to take over what was left of a romantic music unit for year 9, I believe, and that's how I kind of compared it to explain it to the kids. I was like, think of romantic, because they had just finished studying classical, so it was really easy to do the comparison as well. And I explained how you can kind of think of the romantic era as kind of like the indie, almost like the indie music / like the prog artists coming out from the classical period who just wanted to like do away with all the say like rules per se and the structural forms of the classical period, and they really wanted to just branch out. So pretty much, yeah, I concur with what you said. It was a good analogy. Yeah, and kind of adding to what Reece said, how there was like a lot more fascination with like, yeah, nighttime and death. Funnily enough, it was like this sudden resurgence of like the fascination with the macabre and like fantasy and all that stuff. So that really added to the emotion of all the music and stuff like that too. And all of a sudden, all these like 40-minute pieces were being written. Yeah.
I guess the emphasis on storytelling as well, because I guess you did have operatic forms in classical, and you used to have the old like oratorio music styles, and they would be telling the story a lot with the words. But I feel like this era is when the music actually started to tell a bit of a story as well. I guess you have these like these fantasy type pieces or the nocturnes, a lot of stuff without vocals there, but it's still telling a very potent kind of story, and it's painting a very clear picture as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I guess we're all coming from. I'm guessing we're coming from this as not always like the people that are listening to classical music, but there's probably a lot of stuff which we're grabbing from that kind of style of that kind of era, right? Because we're all primarily rock guys, I guess, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any favorite composers from that era?
Saint, I can't pronounce his name right, but Saint Sun. He's the guy that did Dance Macabre.
Okay, I probably would know the track. I just don't know it by name.
And hang on, I'll have to like find it in my notes, but now I really want to get this composer's name.
Every week when we releasing these videos, well, like Reece is putting together a Spotify playlist. So if we can find some of these tracks to put in the playlist, then people can have a listen and kind of, I guess, take some inspiration from the things that we're really liking.
Yeah, most definitely. Hang on, let me just multitask here. So as I'll just try to find it because it was in my teaching notes. So,
you got an example, Reece, by any chance, while Jerry's looking?
Yeah.
I have an example of a song actually by a modern artist, Haken, that sort of takes on some, classical influence. The song "The Path" by Haken.
Yep.
Yeah. Has a lot of like the secondary dominance and voice leading in the bass, stuff like that. First little bit of it is like this life is a dream. And here's another one. A gift. So right there you've got a G in a first inversion leading up to a C, that sort of thing. Later on, it also, for, I guess, like the B section, it actually goes to the parallel minor, the G minor. So, a nightmare in bed, a struggle forward, and then to C minor. In vain we carry on.
Yeah, man, I love that song. I guess the voice laying is pretty classical. I don't even know if I thought about that before. I've listened to The Mountain like a billion times.
And you get a lot more of that vibe too when you hear them play it on piano. I just appropriated it to guitar because I'm a pleb.
Sounds good to me, man. You're my favorite of the plebs.
That's what I strive to be.
Did you find your thing you're looking for, Jerry?
Yeah, Edvard Grieg.
Oh, Grieg, yeah.
Yeah, probably pronouncing his name wrong because they're all complicated back then. But yeah, Edvard Grieg is what.
You got it right, man. That's how you pronounce it. So which piece was it from him that is there anything particular you'd like to recommend?
The Death of Arze.
Okay.
So spelled A-S-E.
Okay, did you want to talk about that piece at all?
What happened? Actually, and I didn't have what I like. Yes. So it from memory, because I use this as it was one of the pieces that was used in this unit that the students studied. From memory, there's only 2 main motifs in it. I haven't listened to it in a while, so that's why I apologize in advance for sounding a bit stubborn with my description. But from memory, there's only 2 main sections, main ideas, but it builds up to like this major climax at the end. So one of the biggest things about the Romantic period was how they really, really wanted to explore extreme dynamic ranges. So going from like PPP to triple F in like one piece. And this particular piece does that. So it starts super somber and super quiet, and it just builds and builds. So right at the end, it's like mezzo forte, and it's not mezzo forte, fortissimo. That's what I was looking for, fortissimo, and it's just you just really feel that climax. And I was just thinking, the only other artists that I really feel that with in modern day is probably Anathema. With a lot of their with a lot of their arrangements, which funnily enough we have a piece that Lisa actually wrote that's very Anathema inspired, and we do like a similar thing. We actually have this 1 chord progression throughout the whole thing. Yeah, 1 chord progression throughout the whole thing, with the exception of like it's like 4-bar bridge, like in the middle of the song, but like the whole rest of the entirety of it is like 1 chord progression that Lisa came up with, and we actually took inspiration from Anathema for that, and I would play it, but it's kind of like not really ready. But
yeah, that's cool.
There's a preview, so like that will be out eventually. So, but yeah, so like that's something that I really loved about some of the Romantic pieces, particularly because I feel like as a listener, it really can just really bring out a lot more emotion. Just that simple thing of exploring dynamics a lot more, as opposed to what they did in the classical period.
Yeah, it sounds like it's relying on one theme as well. Like a thing, the whole thing to develop. Yeah,
because that's even because that's something like I'm sure Reece would remember just as a student, but like what now I'd say to students who are struggling with songwriting, it's like a lot of people I find younger people would fall in the trap of I've got this 1 chord progression, I've got this one idea, and I can't come up with anything else. It's like, well, sometimes you don't have to, or like just think about what else can you do with that particular progression then. So
it's a very
and I remember like our teacher from high school, Reece and I, like used to give us little talks like that. So if you have an idea, what can you do to it? Maybe just play it at a different dynamic on the next routine or etc. So yeah, sorry, I'm fumbling over my words a little bit here, but you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely. I know Reece and I have got a lot of pieces where you can really milk one progression for a lot of different approaches in it. Really,
yeah.
You have songs where you have lots of different sections, but some of your most successful things probably can end up being the most simple.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that the thematic side of Romantic era music, especially, is one of the things I've taken the most influence from. And I guess the composer I love the most from that era is Wagner. Putting aside any of his any Semitic side, which apparently is quite well documented, he was. You always hear that he was Hitler's favorite music and that kind of stuff. I try and ignore all that shit. That's it's not going to get in the way of me enjoying some really good music. And I think that Wagner was one of the first people to develop the idea of reusing themes, reprising themes. Having these recapitulations, the whole idea of the leitmotifs, which I think he introduced. There's a huge, I guess there was things he was calling like complete dramatic works, and it was like something new within dancing, something new within theatrical staging. He's got a thing called the Ring of the Nibelungs, or Der Ring des Nibelungen. It's a German 4-part
You just say
opera
that.
series.
You just say that one more time.
Der Ring des Nibelungen.
Bless you.
Please, I've got no more jazz gag riffs to play. Yeah, like that for me is actually one of the most grand pieces of music. There's about 120 different themes that actually come back, whether they be like a harmonic theme that gets brought back in different keys, or it's a short melodic idea or rhythmic idea that are attached to like all different kinds of like actions, objects, emotions, or characters when they're making arrivals. And I think that you could spend a seriously number of years getting into Wagner's music and trying to pull out everything from that you could. The whole idea of bringing back themes from an earlier part or an album, coming back later on, or even within one song, that's definitely something I see within progressive rock music and within album-oriented kind of music, which I really like. Has been something I've been magnetized towards. So for me, these big, huge works, these 3-4 hour operas with these recurring themes coming back, it really helps to tell a very big story, and the whole idea of building a universe around one's compositions, which I think Wagner does. Personally, for me, I think he does it the best. So I recommend anyone checking out one of those 4 operas. I'll try and pick some select pieces from each of them just so people hear. There's that The Flight of the Valkyries, like that's one of the things that everyone knows of Wagner. That one. That's probably his most well-known little tune, but there's a whole channel even on YouTube called Wagnerian Leitmotifs, and I think it's got like it broken down into like 150 audio files just showing you that where they come in within the different operas and that kind of stuff. And I think paying such a large attention to that, the works were created like over a 20-year period of time, so that's pretty much a big chunk of his life work, and he was only successful much later in his life. So there's a lot of examples that can be drawn from that. And I think I just pull it from it in terms of the emotional intensity and some of that the thematic development. I think that's important. I'm not really writing music myself with just pure orchestration all the time, so I've always got like a rock touch there. But I think there's a lot to be pulled out from people like that. You've got more of a neoclassical style with playing guitar as well, Jerry, right? You've definitely got some of those licks in your playing.
Yeah.
I think that's inspired you with that. Have you taken that more from guitarists who were inspired by the classical music, or have you gone back to the source to kind of find that inspiration?
I know I should be going back to the source, and it's something that I've been really wanting to do. I guess I have no excuse. It's just I just need to do it. But yeah, I find that a lot of my playing has just come from the guitar, so from other neoclassical guitarists like Malmsteen, Turkey, and now the current Stradivarius guitarist, Matthias Kupi, that one.
Yeah, you know the guy.
Yeah. So and of course like Michael Romeo, but having said that, I have listened. I think the closest thing that I've come to actually grabbing inspiration from the source, but this is more Baroque, would have been from like Vivaldi.
Yeah.
Paganini a little bit.
Oh yeah.
But I've actually listened to some of their stuff. But again, I guess that's like again watching like Malmsteen interviews to see where he's gotten his ideas from. So then I wanted to backtrack, and I guess actually some of my studies helped with that. Like there were some opportunities where in Bachelor of Music, like Reece would know, where we had to do some research on like some of those earlier eras and stuff like that. I like maybe delved a bit more out of my own curiosity, and yeah.
I think for the most part, I'm about the same too. Like obviously when we were studying, I had to look into that sort of stuff to do the assignments and everything. But in terms of my own songwriting and in terms of influences, it's been more from neoclassical and like appropriations of the classical aesthetic in like the 20th and 21st century. Especially back when we were in a band together in Carmeria, one of our biggest influences was Nightwish.
I don't think there's any problem with actually taking it from recent music. Like, we're talking about music here that's like 200 years old, right? If there weren't people actually taking influence and appropriating it along the years, like, we never would have even heard about it. I don't think that it would have. I think it's the new generation carrying on the legacy that really allows you to be able to attach yourself to that kind of music. And I'm much more often listening to modern music than music back then, but I think I was somewhat of a rebelling against learning about this kind of music when I learned about it in school. I think part of me pretended that I hated it, like, but I actually really think there's a lot of beautiful stuff done back then, and there's a lot of execution that I think kind of missing now. Sometimes things can be a bit cold compared to how they orchestrated, for example, back then. Like, stuff that people were doing 300 years ago shits all over the quality of orchestration that people are doing now. So there's definitely something to learn from back then.
Yeah.
And even like some of the, I like that example. Yeah, you didn't leave out Michael Romeo, Jerry, because I think he's actually someone who, I think he would have gone back himself and actually got inspired from some original material, because he's kind of doing something a little bit different to what your Malmsteens and that kind of thing do. Less of the cliched classical music. He's got some quite chromatic and like impressionistic kind of sounds he's doing.
Well, I think where he gets that from is a lot of film music. I think, don't quote me on this. It's just that I think where he differs from the others is that he draws a lot of inspiration from modern orchestration from film and stuff like that. So from composers like John Williams and all that stuff, of course, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that the film score, in a way, is kind of the last vestige of that really traditional way of writing. Like, people like John Williams, like, immensely amazing orchestrations. Like, he's not a guy you could take like a million years of inspiration from, right? That guy is a bit of a genius. I guess some of the things I see people trying to take sometimes modern, take neoclassical influence in their guitar playing, for example, and a lot of times it sometimes sounds a bit like a Malmsteen clone, just really badly done. And if I hear another like circle of fourths progression in the song, I'm probably gonna cry. You know these ones? How many times do you want to hear that, man? It's like, I guess it happens in jazz a lot as well. Just got 7 chords to do it all. But those progressions with 7 chords are probably even more horrible.
I'm gonna like write a guitar solo just over a fourth chord over that chord, just for you.
Just
do it.
Challenge accepted.
You haven't already written a song with that, have you, man? You're not going to cheat, are you?
Well, there's like a demo idea sitting in my guitar profile folder. So as you were saying that, I'm like, shit.
Hey,
like, no joke. It goes A, D, G, C, F, B, E, A. I think I do it at the end. So great.
No diminished sweeps.
Right at the end. Because, what else am I going to do?
Yeah, I guess that I think some of the modern classical guitarists, they're just overdoing the Malmsteen thing is a bit annoying. He was kind of a master back in the, obviously he's still a master now, playing incredible, but you look at like the first 5 or 6 Malmsteen albums, this is probably the most incredible guitar playing you're going to hear. Even down to he wasn't just a guy playing fast, he's extremely expressive.
Oh, hell yeah. And his compositions are amazing, but I do have to concur with you. Like, I finally stopped being lazy and Spotified his recent stuff over the past, within the last 7 or so years that I wasn't up to date with. And I just, personally, just my opinion, I just feel like it's just a repeat of a lot of the older stuff. I didn't find, it was hard to listen to it more than once, nothing really stuck out. I just felt like, I've heard all this before. And again, I like his modern production and all that stuff. But again, it's like, I feel like his, he can't show anything new about his playing. You know what I mean? It's like I know what everyone knows what he's about, and I feel like as guitarists, not even just as guitarists, as musicians, we always need to strive to kind of have that, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I think you're a bit nicer than me with it, man. I think I don't really enjoy that much after stuff he did in the early 90s, really. I kind of feel like that's when it started to repeat a lot. And I guess it shows you production can't get you through everything. You've got to have the songs, but you've still got a good fan base. I think maybe he just identifies a lot with trying to be, you know, a guy playing classical music in the modern day. I remember seeing how much he was raging up when he did the concerto with the Japanese orchestra that time. And people were like, what do you feel about bringing rock to the classical paradigm? And he's like, no, I am a classical performer. I'm not bringing rock here. There's nothing rock about this at all. Even though he's got some cranked Marshall in the background. Purely a classical musician. So maybe he's just dwelled in that, like, I guess that was music of the past, right? There's no more music coming out from 1850 or 1750. So I think the most original people are going to be borrowing stuff from all different kind of time frames. That way, combining all together, they're going to come up with something original in today's age. And I think that's what I really love, this kind of era of music. Pretty much everything from 1750 to like early 1900s. There's a lot of amazing classical music in that period, but I'm coming at it from the approach of adding it to all the other stuff I like, rather than trying to do a facsimile of that. I guess we can find some cool examples to give here for people to listen to, and I would just recommend, listen to the music and take from it what you can, rather than getting. I guess people are probably, if there's anyone watching this, hearing us call stuff classical when it's romantic in a particular era or baroque in a particular era, they're probably shitting their pants right now. People like to get a bit picky with it, but yeah, just go into it, see what you can embrace from it. See what you can apply to your own music. But I think we're coming back from the angle of being composers, really, most of the time here. What you can add to your own music. Did you guys have any other examples you have prepared you'd like to share? I think you had an orchestration example there, right?
Sorry, yeah, so I had an example of one of Carmeria's pieces that we kind of debuted Friday night. So I'll just play. I'm going to guess where I'm going to play it from here, but I'll find it. So in the chorus of this ballad, so it's very much inspired by "While Your Lips Are Still Red" by Nightwish that Jordan wrote. So this is primarily Jordan's baby, but I was like watching a lot of Rick Beato's, who's a phenomenal guy, Rick Beato's videos that week, and I was like, no, let's spice this up a little bit more. And so I threw in a Neapolitan chord right at the end of the chord. It pretty much ends. So it's in the key of A minor. So then right at the end, it's in the key of E minor. So right at the end, the final cadence for the chorus, it goes major, B7, then back to E minor. So should I explain what a Neapolitan chord is, or?
Yeah, do it, man.
For those that don't know, okay.
Hey, mate, Reece can explain it. The Reece-apolitan chord.
The Reece-apolitan, yeah. So from my understanding, from my basic understanding, is that it's just a major triad formed on top of the flattened seventh of the scale. So in this case, because we're in E minor, the second note would be F sharp. If we're talking sharps, then flatten it, you get F natural, and then major chord on top. So F major. I've heard some people say, like when I've read up on it as well, that it has to be in second inversion. So I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the normal way, second inversion, but you can get away with not doing that.
Yeah, because I think then you get that chromatic movement in the bass, so you kind of get that. Oh no, sorry, I lied. Because then I lied because if you have the fifth chord, the dominant chord in the second inversion, and you get like that F, E flat, E going in the bass.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
I think it's the fifth and second version, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, that's what we do. So anyway,
That makes sense. Yeah, yeah.
I'll just play it. I guess that I'm playing from the right position here, but I'll just move it forward. Nothing for you to want when I am all you need. So there.
Yeah, I hear that one. You want to play it one more time, man?
Sure. Now that I know where it is. Nothing for you to want when I am all you need. So where I kind of did my Italian hand gestures, that was the like F major and E minor.
Bro, you get like 20 Italian points today. You said fortissimo and you use the Italian hands. 20 points. 20 points for you.
Yes.
Yeah, well, it sounds actually very classical. And so, what did you do? The Neapolitan, then you went to the fifth, and then you resolved after that, was it?
Yeah, I know it's very lame, but I'm just a sucker for perfect cadence. There's a reason they work. Yeah.
Sounds good. I think you guys actually, and maybe you're unknowingly doing it, but you have a lot of classical influence in the way you guys do all the voice leading orchestration.
Good.
Make sure we include a Carmeria song in the Spotify playlist as well for the episode, so if people watch this, they can hear some of your music.
Yeah, sure. Either one really. We have the 2 tracks on Spotify now. So
and Solaris?
Yeah, Carpe Nocturne. Well, actually, do Carpe Nocturne because then that's talking about night, which
yeah. Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, I've got quite a few examples I can give when we go to the playlist. But guys, just check that out. I reckon we'll wrap it up there.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you to our great guest, Jerry, Mr. Italia, Zahija.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us, Jerry.
Got any parting horrific polychords for us, Jerry?